It's always a good time when we get to introduce a new project. Here it comes! Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again for the first installment of Project Z32 Turbo. That's our 300ZX twin turbo that we just got in, that you saw me so skillfully push into the garage because I'd rather not run it under its own power. Always a good sign at the start of a project. A little bit about the Z32 before we start off. This was the Z car of the time. Debut year was 1990. It was available in NA form and turbo form. Turbo form having twin turbos. And that's the one we're talking about today. There was also an NA one, a 2+2 configuration where there was kind of a back seat situation. Not fit for adults, but still a back seat nonetheless. The turbos were only 2-seaters, and again, that is what we're working with on this project. And they were super sought after. This was another 90s Japanese icon sports car that competed with the likes of the Supra, you know, the RX-7, to a lesser extent the NSX. That was a much more expensive vehicle. But similar performance levels. The 3000 GT VR4 for sure appear to this car, but yeah, another icon, huge bucket list car checked off, and they are finally getting recognized for their value. But I always buy my cars at a value, so you know we have some issues here. I can't introduce a car that's just gonna work. That doesn't, where's the fun in that? So we have a 300ZX twin turbo with almost 200,000 miles, so freshly worn in, ready to be fixed up. So let me take you around the car. We'll set the baseline expectation for this project, this restoration, and show you exactly what's going on with this car. So without further ado, let's get in the garage and do an introduction. We've got the 300ZX twin turbo in the garage, which I just freshly pushed in, but it's completely dirty. This is not gonna fly, so let's go ahead and clean this up with the magic of film editing in just a heartbeat. Time for our intro and our baseline inspection of our 300ZX twin turbo. Overall, paint's pretty good, nice and shiny. Definitely needs some cleanup. Lots of rock chips in the front, pretty common with this design. This car does have about 200,000 miles on it, so you guys know how it is. I always pick up the old rough around the edges models. You can see the front splitter, which is known to take a lot of damage. Just for being so low, has gotten a few cracks in it, so we're going to take care of that, clean that up. As you can see, it is an original 300ZX twin turbo. Those little slats are what give it away, guys. If you have any doubt whether it's a real turbo or not, just by looking at the car and not seeing the badge in the back, those little slats are for the intercoolers, for air to get through. So that's your giveaway. Everything else is looking to be in pretty good shape. Cool headlights. Gotta love those. You guys know the Lamborghini story. Overall, glass is good, paint's good. Wheels are interesting. Let's stop and talk about this. We did get some Oz Racing Super Legeras on there. 18-inch, so it's a very cool wheel, kind of period correct, in pretty good shape. We're missing the center caps on the other side. But I don't know, 18s just look a little goofy on this car. If they were 16s, maybe even 17s, I'd definitely rock them because they are cool and they do work with the car. But they're just a little too big for me, but they are a super cool 18-inch wheel, very lightweight. So we're gonna put the stalkers back on because that's how I roll. I just wanted to point those out. So I'll be selling those, recouping a little bit of money because these are pricey wheels and they're super sought after. What a great design too, timeless. Continuing down the car, pretty straight along the side there, no major dings, dents, or anything on the whole body. Trim is failing here. You can see the chrome showing through. That's gonna need a repaint, which we always do with our trim. Same with the cowl here. You can see some paint coming up in places. We'll be touching that up as we always do. T-tops are good, don't leak. Seals look pretty good. We've got the same here, a little bit of that trim coming up, but it is what it is. We'll be fixing that. Come around the rear here. Iconic taillights featured on the new Z car. They are so cool. We're gonna get those cleaned up. Biggest modification back here is this Jim Wolf Technologies dual exhaust. Super cool, not loud at all, very period correct. One of the best exhaust systems you could get at the time. I'm gonna keep that on the card for sure. It looks just good, it looks factory. It doesn't stand out too much and it just looks so clean. So we'll be rocking that exhaust still. More of the iconic taillights. You get the 300ZX logo right there. Back glass tinted, everything looks pretty good there. But same deal here, lots of trim paint. We'll get those nice and cleaned and you can see that trim again. But overall, from the exterior, I give it pretty high marks. It's not dinged up, no major crashes. It has some cosmetic stuff we do need to work on, so we'll tackle that. Let's check out the interior of this 300ZX twin turbo. Add to the list of things we need is fixing the lock on the driver's side door. It is unlocked now, but you cannot unlock it from the outside. So, fun. So if we're gonna look around the interior, overall, again, someone has redone this. So black leather in good shape with red stitching, which is kind of cool. Same with the passenger seat, gray cloth in the middle. These are gonna go with these red leather boots. Same with the steering wheel, got the red Z, but the steering wheel is completely gone. So we'll be getting that rewrapped. Gotta do that. What's cool is the black and red theme continues right here with a 300ZX embroidered logo, which looks actually really clean. It's not garish and it matches, you know, the red trims everywhere. So I'm gonna go with black leather, red trim for these and the steering wheel and really pull this interior together because it looks great. Those parts look great, but if you've never been in one of these are pretty cool cockpits. We have the T-top covers off so you can see up. Get a little more lighting in here, pretty cool, but dash is not cracked, which is cool. These are pretty stout dashes for the most part. The window switch is pushed down in, so I gotta find a way to re-secure that. On the passenger side, we do have a repaint of the center cluster. I'll have to find out what color that is originally. I'm assuming it's gonna be a black color, and repaint that with much better quality paint. Possibly source the OEM radio. You guys know how I roll with that. I always thought it was cool because they have the climate right here on the 300ZX, little digital display there. That's kind of cool. You get your odometer, tach, you get a boost gauge built in, oil pressure, really cool stuff. You can see here, almost 200K. We'll try to hit 200K with this, but you got your dash stuff on the side here, kind of like what Toyota did at the time. I think that's really cool. You don't have to reach down for anything. It's all like right there, which is super cool. But yeah, the red Z wheel is kind of neat. So I'll get that all stitched up and looking good. But overall, interior is pretty good. I don't like this whitish material, so I might just dye that black and go full black out in here. It just stands out, doesn't really match anything in here. Or maybe do gray to match the seat inserts, but seats are in good shape, just need to clean up. I love the black and red stitching with the red exterior. But good place to start in here. This is something we can work on. Let's check out our hatch space in the rear. The struts actually work, which is always a bonus with one of these older cars. And you can see you have quite a bit of space here, but this huge leather chunk over here is actually a subwoofer, a custom made one. We'll probably undo that. It is taking at least a third of the trunk up. You can see the covers for our T-tops. These have a pretty good trunk space for what they are, so that's pretty cool. Still got the privacy cover, which is kind of a bonus. You don't usually see these a lot, so that's pretty awesome. It actually attaches if you want to use that up here on the actual hatch itself. Pretty cool design. That's a bonus, but yeah, we'll get this sub box out of here, but just nice and clean back here. Everything looks awesome. You can see the embroidery again and see into that dash. So let's see what's living under the hood of our 300ZX twin turbo. Twin turbo V6, nice and cramped. So these have a bit of a reputation, kind of like the 3000 GT VR4 for being hard to work on under the hood. Yeah, I can see that. You've got your intercooler piping going to the intercoolers, and you know you have a twin turbo setup, but yeah, it's gonna be pretty tight in here. Timing belt was done at 172, so we are nearly 30,000 miles, so that's good. And it was done just a few years ago, so we're good on that front. For once I bought a vehicle that doesn't need a timing belt job done, so that's always a bonus. Older battery, we'll get that out of there, get a freshie in there. Something I do want to point out, we have an aftermarket oil cap, so we'll be replacing that, go back to factory. Same with the radiator cap. And this radiator is actually, I don't think that's a factory radiator. And I do have a new Mishimoto unit that the previous owner didn't install yet, brand new in the box, so we're going to be putting that in. That's a good quality unit. But when I did inspect the car, you can see some stains here. Very concerning when you see this. but you can see the amount of brown, but it's, I don't know, it's not milkshakey, it's more dirty coolant or rust looking to me. So I don't know if someone put the wrong coolant in, which is always a possibility. I don't even know off the top of my head what kind of coolant this car takes, so we'll have to explore that option when we get there. But yeah, we gotta look at that and see what coolant we are supposed to put in. So I'm gonna flush the whole cooling system and hope that takes care of it. I don't think we're dealing with a head gasket or anything. When I did buy the car, it drove fine. I didn't beat on it, obviously, but I got it back home, which was like a 30-something mile drive, but it hasn't driven since. But at least we know the timing belt and water pump were done. I'll take what I can. That's a pretty big job on this car, and I'm glad it's already done. But here's under the hood. We'll get it back to good running order and get everything going. I'm sure there's gonna be lots of fun stuff for us to do, but here's the power plant. 300 horsepower, yeah, baby. You can't always anticipate the things you're gonna have to buy and replace to get a car running well again when you're doing a restoration. So you remove the air filter box cover, you know, the access panel on the 300ZX twin turbo, and what do we have here? An aftermarket cone filter. So that's gonna cause all kinds of issues. This car did not pass smog for the previous owner, so I can't figure out why. So, and it looks like there's an aftermarket oil cooler down there too, so that's kind of a bonus as long as it doesn't take up any more space. So what I'm gonna have to do now is source a stock air box. And from what I've read, the NA and twin turbo cars share the same air box, so that's kind of cool. It's just basically gonna hook up here, bolt up here in this area, and have two panel filters on either side. So this is probably a cheaper setup to run, just clean that reusable filter, but for smog, you gotta have a stock intake. Hopefully that cleans it up a little bit. Of course, I'll clean the map while I'm in there, but that's just one more thing to do. This is the fun of buying cars that need a lot of love. So let's get this aftermarket setup out of here and get her back to stock. Time to get the 300ZX up in the air and see what's going on underneath. All right, we've got the wheels off and you can see the condition of the brakes. These are definitely aftermarket cross-drilled. You can see the Nissan caliper there. Pads, yeah, okay, kind of thin under there, you can see. So rotor completely got a little lip to it, some grooving, but yeah, it's time to swap this out. We'll go back to a good quality blank, get some good pads. That's what it looks like under the wheels. So definitely gonna take care of brakes on this car. With the 300ZX in the air, let's go ahead and check out the underside and see what we're working with. There were some leaks going on, so we're gonna have to inspect what's going on there. It just hasn't been cleaned under here for a long time. I know they did the valve cover gaskets pretty recently, the previous owner. So those have been done, so some of this could be old leaking from that. You guys know how we do it. Clean everything really well and see where the new leaks are coming from, if there are still new leaks. Inspecting down here, I did find a couple issues we do need to address. The steering bellow definitely needs to be replaced. It's torn here at the top. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see it there. And the grease is coming out, so we're gonna replace that. Also, if you come out to the tie rod end, the bushing there is also split open, so we're gonna replace that. So I'm gonna do outer, probably the inner, and definitely the bellow. And it's gonna be the same for both sides. If you come over to the driver's side of the vehicle, so you can see there the bushing is definitely gone on that outer tie rod. So same deal, tie rod. We'll do the bellow inside too. All kinds of stuff. And again, yeah, the brakes, not looking that good. So we've got some suspension components to do. We've definitely got some brakes to do. Cleaning up underneath is gonna be a big job. We'll find out if we have any leaks hiding underneath our 300ZX. All right, that was our 300ZX twin turbo, and I've got the clipboard of doom, so that means one thing. We're gonna go through all the issues again, just a little recap, and see what we're gonna be getting into with this Nissan. So, first off, maintenance-wise, we are gonna be doing an oil change, coolant flush, trans and diff fluids. Big thing being that coolant, we gotta get that brown old coolant out of there. Get some fresh stuff through that system for sure. We're gonna replace the stock airbox, so put it back in the car. Get rid of that cone filter. Again, stock is the goal here for restorations, and we need to pass smog, so that needs to go. Brake rotors, pads, and fluid. You saw the brake pads and rotors. Those things are just not gonna work with what we're doing here. Get them out of here. New tires, since we are going back to the stock wheels, which I haven't even shown you guys yet, but I did source all this stock 16-inch wheels with no tires, so we gotta source some fresh tires for that. Something befitting of a car of this nature. A new battery. That's lame, but still needs to be done. Exterior-wise, we do need to recondition the OEM wheels. They're a little worn. 30-something years old. So time to recondition those, do a little paint correction on the body, trim paint, and then basically clean the undercarriage of the car to see if we have any leaks down there and to kind of clean off 30-something plus years of road grime. Other than that, interior-wise, we're gonna do a little beautification in there because the interior is pretty cool on this car with the whole black and red stitching type deal. Get our steering wheel recovered with black leather red stitching to match the rest of the interior, as well as the shift and e-brake boots. And that is all I have on my list now, and that list seems too short. So I'm sure we're gonna find stuff as we dig in, but we've got a lot to do on this one, guys. On the next episode, we'll start conquering some of these checkmark items. So we'll catch you next time, guys. Take care, as always.